Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the Fanalytics first ever podcast. It's just me and Matt. We started Fanalytics, I think, what was it January, February time?
I think we went live in Feb, yeah.
Yeah. So now we thought end of season, what a wild run today was. So thought we give a breakdown of our team of the season. We prepared 11 picks of each and then some alternatives. So do you want to start with your and Matt?
Yeah. So goalkeeper, I've gone Alisson.
Okay.
Gone for a back four of Alexander-Arnold, Rudiger, Laporte, and Cancelo.
Interesting.
Midfield three, I've gone Rice, De Bruyne, and Mount. And then a front three of Salah, Ronaldo, and Son.
Very nice. So I actually predicted that we have 7 in common, but it seems to be a bit more different this time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For my goalkeeper, it was Jose Sarr from Wolves.
Yeah.
Right back, obviously Trent. Can't go wrong with that. My
Yeah.
centre back is actually Matip and Van Dijk. So
Okay.
four quadrant
Okay.
of Liverpool. My left back was Cancelo. No questions asked there.
Yeah.
My CDM was Rodri, and my two
Mhm.
centre mids ahead of him was Kevin De Bruyne, got player of the season recently, and
Yeah.
I put Odegaard.
Okay. Okay.
Nice switch there. My front three was Salah, of course, Son on the
Yeah.
side, amazing, and the striker was a bit difficult, but
Yeah.
I've gone with Kane.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see why. I think all of the ones that you've selected as different to mine, I have got them on my shortlists.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah. So I can definitely see why you went in those directions. But well, let's go through it.
Mhm.
We'll start with the goalkeepers.
Start with the third pick, or do you want to start from the first pick?
We'll go through all of our selections. So the three on my shortlist, obviously Alisson was my pick, but I did have Jose Sarr on there, of course.
Nice.
And I went with David Raya for Brentford. He has been so good for them.
He's been ridiculously good, yeah.
And I do wonder where Brentford would have been had he not got injured. I think he missed like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah,
it's quite a lot.
Knee injury first, I think.
Yeah.
And the
But
replacement he was alright, I think. I remember did some decent saves, but the ball playing ability.
Yeah, he gives them a different dimension with that.
That is true. It's actually funny you say those are your 3 picks. Those are exact same 3 picks of mine.
Yeah,
but
I was tempted to maybe throw in De Gea.
Oh really? Okay.
Because he is up there in terms of like the save percentage and stuff, and saves, total saves, all of those, post shot XG as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was like third best in terms of performing above what he was expected, but I just think United's season sort of it's hard. It's hard. I think Raya was more important to Brentford as well.
Yeah, for definite. I think with David here, as obviously as a Man United fan, he had quite good spurts, like a few games where he was just ridiculous. Back to prime De Gea against Arsenal that time with Sanchez.
Yeah,
but I think the other aspects of his goalkeeping is severely lacking. His coming out, distribution.
Yeah, that's definitely all of these other guys. It's not just the saves; they offer something else as well. And I do wonder with De Gea what the long term future is at United. I feel like he's not going to fit Ten Hag's system long term, but I think they've got more pressing needs in the short term.
Yeah, I think from what I read, Rangnick did a little kind of expose of the squad, and he said goalkeeping was the only one that was okay.
Yeah, it's not a pressing need.
Yeah,
but yeah, I went with Alisson ahead of Sarr.
Yeah,
honestly, it was an either or. It was a toss up really, but I just think for Liverpool's style of play and the type of keeper that Alisson is, it's not just his sweeping ability, which he does very, very well, but Liverpool play that crazy high line. So the chances they give up are like real good quality chances to the opposition, one-on-one chances, and that is his best trait, his best attribute, his one-on-one stopping is unbelievable, and he's kept Liverpool in a lot of games this season.
Yeah, 100%, and he's allowed them to keep that high line as well.
Yeah,
obviously Van Dijk and Matip are no slick coaches, but he's rushing out, or he just sits back and saves a 1v1. I think today he did quite a few actually.
Yeah, because the obvious comparison is Edison at City. You know, they came into the league together. They're both Brazilian. They're both sweeper keepers, but he's distanced himself from him this season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
I think Edison. It's some of the goals he concedes. I sometimes think he's got to do better there. And you know, Liverpool don't have that worry with Alisson.
No, very solid. Like even when someone goes 1-on-1, I'm normally with the keepers. I'm like they're gonna mess up. They're gonna go to the left or right a bit too soon.
Yeah.
But Alisson, he's just composed.
Yeah, he just seems to, you know, dominate the goal. And
great way of putting it.
Yeah, I think strikers know that about him, and I think they sometimes overthink the chance. They try to get too cute with it, and you know that's just another strand to it.
It's all about
yeah. I will say about Sarr, there's no way Wolves finish in the top half without him.
Yeah, I think I put somewhere when you look at Understat, which shows about the expected points. It would have been 15th if it wasn't for goals against, which he prevented heavily.
Yeah.
So that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think in terms of goals scored, Wolves were in the bottom 4 or 5.
Sounds about right, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, post-shot XG, they would have, FB refs won.
Yep.
9.8 under what they were expected. I mean, you know, for a team like that, you know, mid-table, close games, God knows how many points, you know, he saved them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because you always think with Wolves, a tight unit. I think under Nuno, under Lag this season, a bit more expressive. And Jose, I think it would cost like 5 to 8 million, I think. That's a ridiculous bargain.
I can't even remember what they sold Patricio for, but that, because I thought, you know, losing Patricio was a bit of a big deal for them, but
yeah,
somehow they've upgraded.
Another Portuguese keeper. Well, they're pretty much Portugal, aren't they?
Yeah. So Sarr did have the best save percentage this season, which I think that's the first stat you do look at when you measure goalkeepers.
Yeah. So the key stats that I saw was like, obviously in 36 games, 39 goals conceded. It's not great, but obviously in the Wolves team like that, he's done well. 11 clean sheets.
Yeah.
79 save percent with 190 saves, fourth highest in the league. So that's why I kind of chose him over Alisson, because I thought what he's done for Wolves is put them 6 or 7 places higher. Alisson obviously has definitely put them out, but they would have probably finished third or something. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. I can see a reasoning there. Like I said, I that's a toss up for me. I'm happy with either or there. But let's move on to right back.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't even think this was a choice, was it?
I don't think it was, no.
No, I mean, Trent, second in assists. Only Salah got more. Expected assists, he led the league. Second in key passes. Second in passes entering the opponent's penalty area. Like, just across the board.
Yeah. When I was looking into the stats, it was more of the case, what could I not find than what can I find? It was like every stat, he was top of leaderboards.
Yeah, because even for me, I think, well, the criticism has always been, and the reason why, for whatever reason, he can't seem to find it for England, is that maybe he's not so solid defensively. But, you know, in terms of interceptions, he's up there. Obviously, you know, Liverpool dominate possession, so it's not, he's not going to be leading the league in that, but he's like top 20, like up there. I think he leads Liverpool team, or he's in the top 2 for that. So he just, you know, he suits the way they play.
Yeah, and you can excuse him, right? Because all this progressive passing, he's almost like probably a 90s, 2000, that kind of midfielder you would have in central midfield. He just kind of sits in that kind of side.
Yeah, and you know, look, this is just a subjective sort of measurement, but I'd say for every one goal that he might cost them, whether that be positionally or whatever, he probably gets them 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's so valuable to that team. I mean, in terms of the overall player of the season, I think he's mine.
Oh wow, that's exactly what I would say as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Consistent.
yeah. Even, and it has sort of tailed off towards the back end of the season a little bit. All the games they've had, but he's still up there in all the categories. I mean, that one, yeah, that was an easy choice.
Yeah, 100%.
Right back. In terms of alternates, I've gone Reece James and I've gone Matty Cash.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Like,
so we'll start with Reece James. I mean, in terms of, he got 8 assists
5
this
goals.
season, 5 goals as well, yeah. But he did miss big chunks of the season as well. So in terms of like assists per 90, he's 4th in the league.
It's ridiculous.
So yeah, he's been so good for them, and he does fill in at centre back as well.
Yeah, I find that strange that Tuchel will put him there.
Yeah, and
wide right.
Yeah, and they've been interchangeable. It's not like when one guy's missing, James fills in. Tuchel has switched those two specifically at different times of the season, and I do think you take away from what you get from Reece James when you put him at centre back.
Yeah, I actually don't know what the reasoning for Tuchel. Maybe a bit of pace, I suppose.
Well, I heard that. I think towards the back end of the season, I think this was ahead of the FA Cup final. They might even have still been in the Champions League games against Real Madrid, and I think it was just a fitness thing. They didn't want to burn him out, but yeah, as Pilaqueta on the right wing, you're not going to get what you get from Reece James.
No, we saw that in the Brentford game.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of the other choice, Matty Cash, different type of right back. Obviously, Villa, more of a mid-table team.
Yep.
Probably want different things.
Change managers too.
Change managers halfway through the season. But Matty Cash has been pretty much ever present for them. I think he started 37 of their 38 games.
Yeah. Well, 38 now after today.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. He started every game. 3rd for blocks this season, 4th for interceptions, joint 6th for tackles. Like he's just been consistent.
Yeah, he's got 4 goals, 3 assists. Quite in line with his XG as well. They've had 13 clean sheets and he was part of all of them. It's really good stuff for him. And I think I've put also that he has 6 fouls drawn. 4 drawn, sorry.
Yeah.
Which is the second highest out of all defenders. So
yeah,
he's a true customer.
I mean that is an important stat now. The fouls one, but yeah, I didn't even notice that about his stats going forward. To be fair, that is impressive when you consider the team that he plays for. That they're not going to be pushed high up the pitch. 90 minutes a game.
Yeah, I'm hoping Steven Gerrard maybe next season maybe kind of models around his Rangers team, get Cash and Digne a bit higher up. Yeah,
I think if he gets a DM that he wants, then it'd be interesting to see what business they do this summer. That Rangers team was very, very good, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they got to the Europa League final. 6 months after he left. He was building something there.
It's a shame. Your mate Stevie G.
Yeah, my mate Stevie G. Yeah, were there any other right backs that sort of jumped out?
I was thinking about Tomiyasu. He has a good first season, but obviously he missed quite a lot of games. Yeah,
Tomiyasu was difficult. He missed a lot, so it was hard to measure his sort of total stats against others. The only one the one that did stand out to me with him was Arsenal's record when he plays versus when he's not in the team, and it was pretty stark.
Oh really?
Yeah, there was a couple of players like that for Arsenal, and yeah, I mean, But that is what you get with Arsenal. It's hot and cold. But Tomiyasu's been really, really impressive. And in this difficult run we've had at the back end of the season, he's had to come back into the team and he's filled in all along that back line at different times and done pretty well.
Yeah, right
So
back, left back.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a key player for Arsenal going forward if they can keep him fit.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't have a proper left back like Tierney back in. Maybe next season with
it's next season with Hickey. I do love Aaron Hickey. Him and Tierney, because Tierney, it's been a problem keeping him fit.
It's a bit strange because he was all right last season, right? If I'm correct, or he was out a few times.
Yeah, he's had these reoccurring things ever since his time at Celtic. I think he has got a bit of that Jack Wilshere where they play. They're very, very like committed. It's 100% all the time, every challenge, and sometimes you do just want to say, just take it a bit easier. You know.
I see what you mean. It's probably that Scottish.
Yeah.
Like Robertson's exactly the same.
they don't shirk challenges, those guys. But yeah, I think those three were pretty clear choices, and Alexander Arnold was the obvious one. Moving on to centre back.
Who was your first choice?
First choice was Rudiger.
Rudiger.
Okay. I think Chelsea are really gonna miss him next season.
What's some of the key stats he had?
It was hard with the centre backs finding the stats, but particularly with the top teams, because they just don't do as much, defending.
Yeah, sure.
As some of the other teams. So with my first choice ones, it's more about what they bring to the team when they're in possession. They spend more of the time in possession than out of it, and he's top 8 for distance carried with the ball, progressive distance carried with the ball, I should say, and 7th in the league for passes entering the final third.
Oh, overall, really?
Yeah. When you watch Chelsea, you do see it with Rudiger. Pick up the ball and he just drives forward, and it's difficult to stop a guy that's 6'5" and built like that.
Yeah,
but he is the perfect modern day centre back. Like when you build a centre back these days, they look like that. They're big, they're strong, they're athletic, and good on the ball.
Yeah, he can pass, he can dribble, he's nimble on his feet. He's not like he's Maguire.
Yeah, who is good on the ball, but I think in that high line he can get caught out at times.
It's more the turning than the actual.
Yeah, the agility side of it. Yeah. Who was your first choice?
My first choice was Matip.
Matip, yeah.
I thought he'd been immense this season.
He's had a great season. I mean, my overall 4, obviously Rudiger, Laporte, I picked to start. I went Mark Gahey of Crystal Palace and Joel Matip was my other one. Yeah, I mean, I spoke about Rudiger carrying the ball, progressive carrying. Matip's second in the league for that amongst all players. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he's got second and final third carries. Third in progressive carries.
And when you look at him, he does look a bit awkward.
Yeah.
he has that sort of lankiness to him, but he's so calm on the ball, and he's very hard to get off it.
Scores some important goals as well this season. 3 goals.
Yeah, he's chipped in with a couple at the end of the season. Yeah, and yeah, because the last couple of seasons he seemed a sort of periphery player. They really struggled to find that partner for Van Dijk.
Yeah, especially Joe Gomez initially.
Joe Gomez, I do like him. He's got the athleticism, but I don't think he's as good as Matip at reading it defensively.
Yeah, that's true.
And Konate's big and strong. I don't think they've lost a game when he started. Konate still.
Oh, really?
Since he joined the club, yeah. But yeah, Matip's been awesome this season.
I don't know how they found Konate. It's basically a Virgil van Dijk regen.
These Liverpool signings across the board. I mean, we could talk for hours about some of the guys. That Luis Diaz, he is something else.
Just straight in.
I know. It's just like for like, isn't it? But Yeah, and Matip, 75 final third carries ahead of today's game. That was 6th in the league.
Second
For
for
a cent,
defenders as well.
second defenders, yeah. I mean, 6th across all players in the league. That's insane for a centre back. But this is what I mean. Liverpool and City, they do it differently.
Yeah.
To other teams. Talking of City, Laporte was my other choice.
He was my third choice.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the best pass percentage in the league, most final third passes in the league, and progressive distance carried tops it as well.
I think he was second in progressive carries as well, right?
What overall progressive carries?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. I mean, he had it by a distance in terms of the distance, almost like 2,000 yards or something.
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah, it's crazy. And because he sort of seemed to fall out of favour for a while.
Yeah, they had Stones as the
Stones and Diaz was the pairing for a while, and I'm not really too sure why. Whether it was fitness concerns, whether he couldn't stay fit, but second half of the season he's been undroppable.
Yeah, I actually rate him higher than DS. I think.
Yeah, definitely coming into the back end of this season, he has been the guy for them.
Yeah, everything goes through him, Cancelo, and Rodri. That triangle at the back just progresses. No one's getting the ball off them.
Yeah,
and good in the air as well. 4 goals from I think corners and crosses.
Yeah, and I think he's a little bit shorter than some of these other centre backs.
Let's see, Laporte 1.91, quite tall.
Yeah, he's still
obviously
pretty
not
tall.
as big as Matip.
Yeah, no, that
Matip
really good. Yeah, but yeah, and the other one, Mark Gahey, I've gone for Palace.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit hard with some of these centre backs. When I watch him, Kurt Zuma's been very good for West Ham, but he didn't really pop up in any of the stat categories.
Strange, even for clearances or
nah,
because they're quite a low block team, West Ham.
Yeah, and I do think he's crucial to them, but they have conceded a lot of goals this season. To be fair, West Ham, their games are pretty entertaining. But Mark Gahey, I've gone for Palace just because it's night and day what Palace have done this season compared to last. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is obviously Vieira's system, and there's a lot of guys that we could talk about for that team that have either improved or signings that they've brought in that have improved the team.
Yeah.
But in terms of XG against, and again, obviously this isn't including today's game.
Yeah.
They're 5th in the league for XG against, 5th lowest.
Oh wow.
Which is really surprising, and I think they finished 12th this season, Palace. But I don't think it does justice for how much they've improved and how good a team they are.
Yeah, it's a new back line as well, right? Because with Anderson
as well. I think, and was it Fulham he was at last season?
Yeah.
And he done well at Fulham in the back end of last season and was one of their better players as they sort of, I say threatened to stay up. I don't know if they ever got that far, but he was very good for them. And there's a bunch of these young guys at Palace, like Elise, Easy,
Conor Gallagher.
Mateta's if they can, I don't think they'll be able to keep Gallagher. I think the money that it's going to take to make that a permanent deal, based on his performance this season,
it's a hard one.
I think it'd be a good move for him personally.
Yeah.
If you're talking about, he got his first England cap this year, and he looked very good in that England game. That hour or so he was on the pitch. I think it was a friendly game, but he was the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, he's got England. An unbelievable engine, and he's got quality in the final third as well. Yeah,
and I think a lot of these young guys, they obviously start out as like attacking midfielders. You know, they don't have that awareness maybe to play a sort of deeper role, but I think he will eventually transition to a more deeper role.
Yeah, because he's quite neat and tidy on the ball. Like he's not. You see the flair players, attacking players normally are going for that over the top ball, going through. risky passes or dribbles, but he's quite neat and tidy when it
Oh,
comes to
he
it.
is. He is very neat and tidy. He just seems to make the right decisions like a lot of the time. So yeah, he might end up staying at Chelsea. I think midfield is probably their weakest area, Chelsea.
Yeah, it'd be good if Mount's injured. I think he'd be a good slot into
Yeah,
that three.
he does feel like another Mason Mount. Very similar type of player. Who are your
My other two.
alternates? Yeah.
So Matic was my first pick, and then Van Dijk was my second pick.
Oh, Van Dijk. Yeah.
Because
It's Virgil van Dijk. It's almost because he's not in my shortlist, and it's probably just the simple reason he's set the bar so high that he just does it over and over again. It's almost not even news, how good of a player he is. I don't know what more you can say about him.
Yeah, I was saying last season, obviously injured for most of the season. They were just scraped into third.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best the best stat you can have for him.
Yeah,
it's this season they've come remarkably close to winning the title, remarkably close to a quadruple, really.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah, but yeah, and he's been fit all season, so
34 games played already this season. It's quite good for coming back from was it ACL injury?
Yeah, ACL, MCL, one of the CLs.
Yeah. So some of the stats I got for him was he's won 136 aerial duels, the third best defender, best percentage of winning, so 77% he won. 410 ball recoveries, the best in defense. He got 73% tackles against dribblers, so obviously that's Van Dijk's specialty. When someone's running one-on-one with him, I just bet on Van Dijk every single time.
I there was that whole stat a few years ago that he's never been dribble past, which I was always very suspicious of as a stat, because it wasn't something that was really measured a lot back then, and I could have sworn there's games where people have drifted past him, but it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, especially one-on-one.
Yeah, it's the same thing as Alisson with him, where I think sometimes people just try too much. You think, God, it's Van Dijk. I've got to do something different here, and he beats you. He beats you before you've even really had the contest.
I think a perfect example was Coutinho the other day when Aston Villa vs Liverpool. I don't know if you've seen it. Coutinho nutmegs Van Dijk, and he's past him. Van Dijk's just in his stride. He doesn't even think that he's got beaten. He's in stride. He catches up with him, and the sheer presence. He just continues fumble the ball in the box.
It's like he's done one great thing, and then it's like, oh, now I've got to do something else.
Yeah.
he makes you. If you're gonna beat him, you earn it.
Yeah, definitely. He's got that Terminator kind of presence around him. So that's why. That's why I picked him. Van Dijk and Matip. Laporte was my third pick, and my fourth pick was difficult. I would say, like to see. I was thinking Romero. I was thinking Gay too. I was thinking, what was it? But I went with Rudiger's partner. I went with Thiago Silva.
Yeah, I see that. He's what, 37 now?
Yeah.
And Chelsea are a much better team when he's on the pitch.
Yeah.
And it's obviously as a defender he's still very, very good. Probably not what he was a few years ago, but he's still very, very good. Still well above average.
Yeah.
But I think it's the leadership he brings to the line as well. He brings a composure.
And he works with the back three with Rudiger and him and someone else.
Yeah.
Some of the stats I got with him was 128 progressive passes, the fourth best out of all the centre backs. Yeah. He's only played 27 games this season, so that's quite impressive. 185 final third passes, which is 6th out of all players. And then shot on target blocked was first. So
there you go.
Reading of the game.
Yeah. And again, Chelsea will probably want him to stay on for another year with them losing Rudiger. Because, for a top team like that, you don't want to be going in with two new central defence. Obviously, defence depends who they bring in. But his leadership, even if he's not playing every game, I think he'll be someone you want to keep around.
Yeah, I'm surprised they lost Tamori and Gay because they're great centre backs.
Yeah, it is the flaw in these big clubs. They have these great youth academies, develop these unbelievable talents, but they've got no path or very little pathway for them. And even guys like Mount and Reece James, arguably the only reason they got that chance was the transfer ban, and that Frank Lampard, obviously, I think he'd worked with them in the academy.
Yeah, he worked with Mount at Derby as well.
At Derby as well, yeah. But yeah, would they have gotten a chance if they were spending 60 to 100 million every summer? I don't think it would have been the amount of game time they got.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, I like those centre backs. Moving on to left back, yeah, and again, same as right back. I think it was a pretty easy number one choice in terms of Cancelo.
Luke Shaw. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, 89 passes entering the penalty area. That was first in the league. He had most tackles in the attacking third.
Oh, good.
Amongst all players. Second in terms of final third, or passes entering the final third. You know, top six for tackles, and tackles won, which was surprising considering that, you know, City with their 99% possession every game. You know,
when we tackle, yeah.
Yeah, but he is the predominant guy that wins the ball back for Man City.
I guess he's good in the press because he's so high up already.
Yeah,
his tackling skills kind of just lend a hand to that.
Yeah, and I think they do a lot of different things with Cancelo. He is a bit of a chess piece for them. Whether it's he has predominantly played at left back this season, but they sometimes have him going right up the line as a like wing back / winger.
Yeah,
but they have him inverted. They have him dropping into central midfield at times as well, in and out of possession. Sometimes they can do what they want with him. He's a very, very smart player.
It's ridiculous. He's so good at left back, but he's so good at right back as well. He could have been in the top three right backs.
Yeah, because normally, you know, when you've got a great player, it's like you find a way to put them in their best position.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a right-footed, you know, fullback, right back is probably his natural position, but I don't think he skips a beat at left back.
No, it's weird to see a non-left footer at left back. I guess he's now at inverted fullbacks. Probably now these days there will be more of them.
Yeah, probably will be. I still like the natural sort of you know, balance left footers on the left hand side, but he's pretty both footed as well. Actually, Cancelo.
Yeah, that's true.
He scored a goal at Newcastle earlier in the season on his left foot from about 20 yards. Just curled it in the top corner. You know, when you've got that from your right back or your fullback,
yeah,
you know, that's pretty valuable. In terms of the alternates, I've got Robertson, and I've got Mitchell for Palace.
I went with Robertson too, and then I went for Cucurella.
Yeah, Cucurella. He definitely had a really good second half of the season.
Yeah,
for Brighton.
So you want to talk about Robertson?
Yeah, I mean,
obviously Gary Neville did say he prefers Robertson to Cancelo.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't think it's a terrible decision. I think he even said he prefers him to Trent, which I do think is a little bit of recency bias, because at the start of the season, I don't think there's any way you'd have been saying that.
Yeah.
Robertson was still good, but Trent was playing at an unbelievable level to start the season. But yeah, he got 10 assists from left back. I mean, I don't know what's that. So that's, you know, 12 for Trent, 10 for Robertson, 22 assists from fullback.
And then,
you know, that's, you know, and then you got Salah, Mane, and Jota, and Diaz, and Firmino.
Yeah. And then Robertson got three goals now after the 1 goal today. Trent's got 2 goals.
Yeah.
It's goals everywhere.
Yeah. I think Robertson probably suffers from playing across from Trent in terms of some of these stats. maybe they don't jump off the page.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two have been so good for Liverpool the last few years. That Tsimikas does look good. He's filled in a bit for them this season, but Robertson does give them that tenacity as well. He's got that toughness about him, that leadership. Yeah, he often gets embroiled in those sort of heated discussions with the opposition, but you do sometimes need that on your team.
He's like a modern version of, let's say, Gary Neville, but obviously a bit more pace to burn.
Yeah. No, he has got that tenacity, and especially for fullbacks, I do think that's important.
Yeah, because you're isolated after.
Yeah, you think of the type of player that you go up against on the wings. Those you can win those sort of battles if you can get in their head, if you can really sort of wind them up a bit.
Yeah,
that's half the battle.
And not only that, he's got second defense for key passes, 55 key passes this season.
Yeah,
184 progressive passes, which is fourth out of all defenders. No surprise who the top three are.
Yeah.
67 final third carries, which is fourth out of defenders, and 94 shot created actions, third of defenders. So
yeah, I mean, we've spoken about three, probably Liverpool's best back four if we put Matip and Van Dijk as the centre backs. Mm-hmm. Three of their best back four are like top 10 for final third carries and getting into the opposition's like final third. That's crazy.
And then you got Van Dijk who's cleaning everything up.
Yeah. I mean, when you got Van Dijk and Alisson as well, you got those guys. You can just bomb everyone forward, can't you?
Fabinho as well drops back.
Yeah, he's underrated, Fabinho.
And then you chose Mitchell as your third pick.
Mitchell, yeah, it's the same sort of theory as I went with Cash on the other side, where for Crystal Palace, they're not pushing their fullbacks particularly high up the pitch. These sort of defensive fullbacks are very, very valuable for them. Mitchell, defensive third tackles, he ranks first in the league, second in terms of total tackles of all players, third in tackle percentage against dribblers, top 10 for interceptions as well. He shows up everywhere.
He's like Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I see him as like a regen of Wan-Bissaka. They've both come out of this Palace Academy. Really, really good sort of one-on-one defensive fullbacks. I think he's got a little bit more than Wan-Bissaka to his total game, and I think that's been Wan-Bissaka's sort of hurdle at United that he's been unable to get over is sort of final third sort of production and being an asset up the pitch for them, and Mitchell still needs to work on that as well. Mm-hmm. Not obviously playing for Palace, don't know how much of we'll see of that, but I think there's more to come from him in that department.
Yeah, I would say he's kind of 1v1 defenders specialists. I think they'll become more prominent, especially if you've got one really good attacking fullback, one dropping as the third centre back, as you will, defense. Yeah. So a bit like Kyle Walker does for Man City so well.
Yeah, that might be, especially for these. I think top teams will have those two attacking sort of fullbacks, wingbacks, whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of these sort of clubs that are pushing for Europe, mid-table, mid to lower of the league. Yeah, that balance of sort of having one fullback that gets forward, can help create those overloads and attack, and then you got a good one-on-one defender like Mitchell at the back to stay back and sort of at that third proxy centre back when required. Yeah,
definitely been impressed with him this season. Defensive stats are. There's not many players are like that in this Premier League. Every fullback's more of attacking.
Yeah.
In possession, but no one's trained more so for defensive. So it's quite good to see actually. Quite
Yeah,
comparative.
like him and Cash, I do like that. I do still have a lot of time for these adept defensive fullbacks, and not to take away from Cancelo and Alexander Arnold and Robertson, guys like that who are still very very good defensively.
Yeah,
They just they
they don't
play
need
for
to.
Liverpool,
Yeah,
Man City. They do their defending or they do it in different ways.
yeah, totally agree with that. And then my third pick was Cucurella for Brighton.
Oh
Like
yeah,
like you said, first half of the season he was a bit here and there. Second half of the season he's really come into his own.
yeah,
Some of the stats he's had is 41 key passes, which is fifth out of all defenders. We already know who the four others are. 171 progressive passes, which is the fifth out of defenders. 61 tackles is the second overall, which I thought was really good.
wow,
So it's hard to beat, and he's got progressive carries.
yeah,
And he's also got 21 successful crosses into the penalty area, which is third overall. He's got a good bit of everything really, a bit like Cash, I
yeah.
would say.
And he's a player that definitely passes the eye test when you watch him.
Yeah,
He looks really composed on the ball, and he's played a lot at centre back in the back end of this season, and has done really really well there. They've not lost anything playing him there. I think it was against Spurs a few weeks ago in that win over Spurs. He was superb in that game.
yeah, he was really good against United as well. Scored
Yeah.
that rocket. Annoyingly.
But yeah, he's definitely had a good season and great season for Brighton overall. What was it? They finished 9th in the end.
Yeah, the highest ever.
Just miss out on Europe, which is a shame. But if they can just if they can keep hold of Basuma and Cucurella, I think he's going to be. Yeah, if they can just get that striker, and I think they need more consistency in the whole attacking areas. Trossard at times shows that talent that he's got, but he can go a few games without really impacting games as well.
Yeah, it's Trossard. You got Gross, who's kind of similar as well. Then your strikers are Mopé and Welbeck, which they're decent Premier League players, but if Brighton want to get pushing in the top half, I think they need to invest.
Yeah, they need a guy that's going to put away some of these chances they create, because they are a very very good team. They don't give up too many chances. I think they're like they're definitely top 10 for XG against. I think they're a bit lower down in terms of XG4, but again, if they can just get more consistency in those attacking areas, because I think Potter's often trying to switch it up, changing things around, trying to find those right combinations in attacking areas. If he can get guys that he can rely on, they're going to be a very very good team.
Hope he doesn't get poached. We'd like to see maybe another 2 seasons from him at Brighton. I would say, or at least another 1 season. See if he can take them to 7th, maybe even push 6th. It's quite hard next season.
They can definitely push for Europe. They can definitely push for Europe. Yeah, I do like Brighton. Right, let's move on to defensive midfield.
Yep.
And my one was Rice.
Okay.
I went my alternates. I did have Rodri as an alternate, and I've gone for Norgard of Brentford.
We've got the exact same 3 again, Matt.
Yeah. I'm going to start with Rice.
Yeah, and I'll go on to Rodri.
Yeah. Rice, 94 interceptions, second in the league. 4th in terms of passes entering the final third. Top 5 for progressive distance carried. He can do it all for West Ham. And the reason that I put him ahead of Rodri, because Rodri is very, very good. He's the perfect Guardiola defensive midfielder. He's like a Busquets regen, essentially. But for West, I just think if West Ham didn't have Declan Rice, where would they be compared to where would City be without Rodri? I dare say City would still be a title challenging team. Maybe they wouldn't quite be the best team in the league. Maybe Liverpool would have got the edge, but Declan Rice is so important to what West Ham do.
Yeah, and he's got gears to go as well, I think.
Yeah, I think if he's going to become one of the best in the world, which I think he can become.
Yeah.
He's got to become more of like a sort of pure passer, deep line playmaker kind of guy that and can make those sort of passes under pressure.
Yeah, I would
You
say so.
know,
Yeah.
under the high press and stuff like that. But he's already pretty good. I think he's like 11th, 90.5 pass percentage overall this season. So that's good for like 11th in the league.
Yep.
The one thing I did notice about West Ham towards the end of the season, they did start to tire the team,
Europa
which
League.
is understandable. Yeah, Thursday, Sunday, it catches up with you. But and Rice did start to look tired, and there was a lot of games where I think that City game they probably should have taken Rice off because he did look exhausted.
Yep.
But I don't think they can afford to. I just think he's so important to what they do. You know, I always thought of him as just a pure defensive midfielder. Was quite limited in his other play.
Yep.
He would break up play and then he'd just pass it 5 yards and let the creative players do their work. But he has added that to his game.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely this season for West Ham, he can drive forward with it. You know, he can create from deep.
Yeah, that's why I've been most impressed this season, especially. Picks up the ball from the centre backs and he can just drive through the middle. No one's catching him. Strong, fast.
Yeah.
And also he can pass. He can switch to play as well. Like, I do agree with you. If he was going to move to a very heavy ball-oriented team, how is he going to cope with a lot of pressure? Yeah. At West Ham, he's got time. I don't think anyone's going to high press at West Ham.
Yeah, top team, and the passing, it has to be a lot more precise. There's a lot more precision involved. So he can definitely like do that though. It's but you have to see it. You have to see him do it first.
I'm wondering if his future is a 6 or an 8, double pivot 8, a bit like we saw with him with Phillips.
I think he can play both. Yeah. I would have him as a 6, and especially if he goes to one of these top teams where, all right, Fabinho and Rodri do, they do a lot of cleanup work for City, and Liverpool, but Rodri gets involved in the final third as well.
Yeah.
And is an important player for them in that regard. So yeah, it's almost like a 6/8 sometimes for these top teams, especially against a low block.
You need Declan Rice to push forward, yeah. Apparently he's one of the best finishers as well, from West Ham teammates, Declan Rice.
Yeah, well, they do lack that out and out number 9. To be fair, yeah, Antonio's still their number 9, so yeah, but yeah, he can probably add a few more goals to his game if we're going to criticize him.
Yeah, I wouldn't say too much of criticism. I don't think
I don't think it's essential for a 6, but
nice to have, I guess.
Yeah, why not?
Which is kind of neatly points to why I chose Rodri instead of Rice.
Yeah,
I was pretty much the whole week going with Rice as the pick, and then looking at the stats for Rodri, we all know what he's about. He picks up the ball, he's Busquets-like. He continues to pass the ball around, very safe in possession. Some of the stats he's got is 5.4 accurate long balls per game, which is the 4th overall. 237 final third passes, which is 3rd overall. And he's got a 92.6 pass completion, which is ridiculous playing for
4th in the league.
Yeah. So he's got all this, and he's got good ball recoveries, and he's also, which I thought was quite good, is like not normally a Guardiola signing is one of these kind of criteria. He's quite good in the air.
Yeah.
77% of he wins his aerial duels, which I thought was really good, and I think quite a few of his goals. He's got 6 goals this season, or 7 after today. And the most
this is what I was talking about with Rice.
Yeah.
Add goals to your game, mate.
Yeah.
You need to be a goal scoring 6 for these top sides. But yeah, I mean, Rodri scored an absolute banger today.
Yeah,
helped win the title with one of his long range goals, and he scored one against Arsenal as well in that absolutely miserable game at the start of the season.
Yeah, he's got that in his locker, which is I don't think he had that last season from what I can remember.
But no, I mean you don't think of it, and it could just be one of those seasons like you look at Partey for Arsenal. He's actually quite a good goal scorer for Ghana. He averages close to like 1 in 3, I think, for Ghana.
Oh wow!
But I've had just about enough of seeing him shoot from 25 yards for Arsenal, to be honest.
It's a bit like Fred for us then.
Yeah,
like, please don't do something else.
Just pass to someone else,
Yeah.
please. Yeah, but yeah, that's another position. To be fair, Rice and Rodri, I don't think there's a wrong choice there.
No.
We've both gone for Norgard.
Yeah.
For DM, which may be surprising if you weren't looking into the numbers off the top of your head, but when you look at the numbers, he's up there. What is he? First, he's first for tackles and he's sixth for interceptions.
Yeah,
which
first overall as well for tackle interceptions too.
Yeah, I think if you talk about what do you want from your number 6, I think those two are number 1 and 2 on your criteria.
Yeah, tackle, except passing, safe passing, I guess, ball recoveries, which I think he's first in ball recoveries by a huge margin, I think it was.
Yeah, and in terms of combined tackles and interceptions, I think he's first by an absolute mile as well.
He's got a lot of work at Brentford.
Yeah, he does. I think he's like played most of the games. I think he's been virtually ever present as well.
Yeah,
this season
he's played 36 games this season.
36, yeah. So there you go. It's an underrated stat. Games played and minutes played.
Yeah, he wouldn't be really available. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're playing 36 to 38 games in the league a season, it means you're pretty important to what that team wants to do.
Yeah.
Or they literally have no other option.
Yeah, please be fair. I'm wondering how, because the 5-sub rule, is it coming next season?
Yeah.
I'm wondering how this is gonna affect squad players. This is gonna probably bring the appearances down for everyone because you can just bring them on now. You have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think certainly for attack, like the minutes played, and you don't really see those sort of numbers for the attacking players.
Yeah,
people always value fresh legs in those areas, and so it will affect those areas. But there's certain players like Salah, when he's fit, he doesn't come off. He doesn't start on the bench. He plays 90 minutes.
Yeah, true.
Saka for Arsenal. I'd like us to give him a rest every now and again, but
he needs it.
Yeah, I don't think we trust the alternatives in that position.
Just one thing about Norgard I just saw now: 3 goals and 4 assists. It's pretty tidy as well.
Again, goal scoring 6.
Full 6.
Yeah. Let's move on to the other central midfielders then.
Cool.
De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne was the first one. I went with Mason Mount as well, but De Bruyne, he has 15 goals in the league this season. 7 assists. Well, 7 assists ahead of today. I think he set up the winner.
Yeah.
So 8. Make that 8 assists. 23 goal contributions from central midfields. And he's another one of those players like Van Dijk where we've set the bar so high. And there was all the talk that he didn't have such a good start to the season, that maybe he's dropped off a little bit.
He was slightly overshadowed by Bernardo, right? That's why.
I think Bernardo just had a surprisingly good start to the season, and it's just the bar he set himself. If he's not turning up with a bunch of goals and assists, you start to wonder what's going on. But he scored 4 goals against Wolves the other day.
Against Jose Sarr, yeah.
Yeah, against the best keeper in the league. So. He's 9.1 over XG.
I saw that.
So, I mean, you can maybe put the goals down to just a freak sort of season, but to be honest, he does this year in, year out, so it's not really that freakish.
Yeah, right foot, left foot. I think the Wolves, I think he scored maybe 2 or 3 of them with left foot.
Yeah, I mean, he has 5.54 shot creating actions per 90, which is top of the league. Best in the league. 83 key passes, that's third. 63 passes entering the opponent's penalty area, that's fifth. it's not an accident that he shows up in all these categories.
Yeah,
Let's be fair.
that's true. And he's only played. He started 24 out of 29 games as well, with those kind of stats.
Yeah, I mean, he did miss portions of the season, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I if you're picking a world 11, I know there's lots of exciting young central midfielders turning up in Europe these days, but I still think that De Bruyne has got to be a consideration. I think he's, all things being equal, I think he's City's best player.
Yep. Still.
Probably Belgium's best player. There's an argument for Lukaku for Belgium, to be fair, but he's crucial. What is he now? 30, De Bruyne?
Yeah, 30. Yeah. He's got a few more years, I think, at the top
Yeah,
level.
definitely a couple more years at least. But he's one of those guys. I just think he'll just transition to like a deep lying sort of six.
Yep.
And won't really skip a beat. He'll just be one of the best players in the world at that as well. So
because he drifts all over the pitch. He's not really fixated in that central position. Obviously, he prefers
yeah,
number 10.
that inside right channel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Alexander Arnold, to be fair, dominates that area as well. But that is very much the Kevin De Bruyne area. That is the Kevin De Bruyne position.
That curling cross that comes into just that mid back post when no one can collect it.
He's probably one of those players that if we were talking 20 years ago, he probably would have been a right winger in the mold of like a David Beckham, where he can drift centrally into those areas, or he can stay wide and just whip an absolutely outrageous ball into the box right on the striker's head.
Haaland's going to enjoy it.
But yeah, and De Bruyne, the thing that always impressed me about De Bruyne was he was like this, like a front three attacker.
Yep.
When he came through, and then just seamlessly transitioned into this like box to box central midfielder. And sometimes he plays as like a pure 10, sometimes it's an 8, sometimes he does play a lot deeper. He basically does whatever City need him to do. He's one of the more intelligent players out there.
Yeah, he's definitely that guy, and he's a big game player too. Whenever you need him, Liverpool against
United. and I think that's part of the thing. The second half of the season, the business end of the season, he's just showed up. The one against United at the Etihad, he was unbelievable. Obviously, Wolves the other night. Today, he was crucial. Yeah, and yeah, I think he does suffer from we expect so much from him.
Yeah, but same as Van Dijk, as you were saying.
Yeah, I think he got voted the Premier League Player of the Season, voted for by fellow players.
Was it by fellow players?
Yeah, the more prestigious one is the Football Writers, which he's definitely in the conversation for as well. But
I'm not sure he could. I'm not sure if, for me personally, I don't think he could be the Player of the Season because he's missed too many games, I think.
Yeah, a lot of these awards do suffer from recency bias, and even some of my picks in this little team of the season that we're doing, that does suffer from that to an extent.
Yeah.
More to follow on that, but yeah, I don't think he's a bad shout, because even when he was in his supposed bad form, he was still pretty up there in a lot of the categories. Same thing as Grealish, where he's not getting the goals or assists, the goal contributions, but if you watch him play and if you look at the underlying stats, he's been one of the best players in the league this season. It's just the price tag.
Oh, for Grealish, yeah, for definite.
Yeah,
he's definitely. I think people don't want to see him succeed, right?
It's quite funny to see how quickly he transitioned from the national darling, who everyone was just on their knees begging Southgate to get on the pitch at the Euros, to suddenly being this flop that everyone can't wait to have a pop at.
Because when he came on against, obviously it's not Premier League, when he came against Real Madrid, it was close. He could have got 2 goals.
To be fair, he probably should have got at least one.
Probably.
I think City will look back on those chances, and I bet he does.
Yeah, but I think obviously with City, like a lot of their players don't really hit the ground like very fast pace in the first season, like Bernardo, even Rodri for external strength. So next season, I think he'll come into his own. I think, especially with
Yeah,
Haaland there, he's going to make those runs. Grealish will pick them out.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Well, a lot of people are saying that Haaland won't work at City because apparently, more of his goals come from the running into space,
Yep.
which will obviously be less apparent at City, where they don't really get a lot of space. But I'll believe it when I see it. That guy is a freak of nature. I think he'll just find a way to score goals. Yeah, moving on to the other central midfielders.
Yep.
Mason Mount was my pick.
Mm-hmm.
Odegaard, who was your other pick, I have got him as one of my alternates.
Nice.
And I've gone with James Ward-Prowse.
Exactly the same again.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a great season, Ward-Prowse, for Southampton. They've had a bit of an up and down season, but he is one of the... I'd say he's probably their most important player, to be fair.
Yeah, I think him, Salisu. Yeah, those two are probably the most important players.
Yeah, because their centre backs do show up in a lot of the interceptions and tackles, but the thing that puts me off with Southampton is their ability to lose a game by a lot of goals. They do concede a lot of goals at times.
Yep. If they lose, they're gonna get slaughtered.
They're an infuriating team because they went on that run where they drew at home to City, they won at Spurs, they drew against United, they went and beat Arsenal a month or two later. When they get it right, they can mix it with some of the best teams, but yeah, they're liable to get beat 6-0 by Chelsea like they did.
Yeah, they remind me of Leeds under Bielsa. So they can go toe to toe with their kind of pressing, and
but when it goes wrong,
spaces galore.
Yeah, and obviously with Ward-Prowse, a lot of the numbers it's set pieces, 4 free kick goals. He's closing in on Beckham, right? Yep. So he'll probably get that.
I think so. How old is he? 28.
Yeah, mid to late 20s. Probably on the periphery of England. I don't know if he brings enough to the table to be sort of starting games for England. But he does have 70 key passes, joint 5th in the league heading into today's games. So it isn't just set pieces with him.
Yeah, and he's also got 402 ball recoveries, 4th overall. So just defensive work. He's got a good engine on him as well. You have to have a good engine when you're Arsenal.
Especially they predominantly play a 2 in midfield. It's just it's sort of a 4-4-2 they play for the most part. So they have to get through a lot of work, those centre mids.
Yeah, especially with most midfielders have 3. So
yeah, he does it well. But Mason Mount, double figures for goals and assists.
Mm-hmm.
Joint 3rd with 10 assists. He's top 10 for key passes. Shot creating actions per 90, goal creating actions per 90. Similar to Ward-Prowse, I mean, some of it is propped up with set pieces. He does predominantly take set pieces for Chelsea, but when you watch Chelsea, he's quietly effective. Mason Mount as well.
But when we were saying about Conor Gallagher, sometimes he's maybe too neat, and then you think, okay, he's not that kind of. Doesn't have that gumption to take the game, but
but he how old is he? Like 22?
Pretty young, I think.
So he's still young in football in terms, but he seems very experienced. He seems like to always make the right decisions. He doesn't ever seem to try to do too much or get rattled. I really like Mason Mount, and he gets through work. Yep. He does a lot of pressing. He's probably their best presser, Chelsea.
I also was looking, he has 914 attacking third touches as well, which is the 3rd highest for midfielders.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
He attacks that zone.
Yeah. And again, probably one of those players that, it's volume stats. He does play a lot of the games for Chelsea, but that says it all. A top team to play as much as he does. Is because he gives them a lot.
What do you think he needs to do to go to that probably next level, or do you think just keep going at his pace? Do you think anything he needs to add to his game?
No, I don't know. Sometimes when you watch him, you probably think, yeah, like, you know, maybe be a bit more adventurous with some of his passing, because I think he can. You know, he could be one of those guys that unlocks defenses. You know, at the moment he does things well, he distributes the ball well, but I think he can get better. But you know, double figures goals and assists in the Premier League. You know, he's already up there.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe he seems to get on the edge of the box quite a lot, and he reminds me of a bit of either a Van der Vaart or a not Lampard. Too much of Lampard. I know there's always that connection with Lampard.
Yeah,
but he could probably have some of Lampard's game in the future. I think arriving in the box late, getting the edge of the box to shoot. I think if he adds that, he's a much more dangerous player for Chelsea.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, 11 goals this season.
Yeah, can't complain.
Yeah,
top scorer for them.
Yeah, I think he's one of Chelsea's most important players, which is impressive when you think about the fact that they can just go out and spend 70, 80 million on any player they want.
Yep.
If they want to. But he's established himself, and he's a key player for England now as well. I know Southgate loves him.
Yeah, don't blame him.
Yeah, he's got that work rate about him. And Odegaard, you know, you put him ahead of Mount. Yeah. I see why. I do. Obviously, I watch a lot of Arsenal games. And especially in the recent games in this bad run, everything that Arsenal do attacking wise, whether it's like noticeable, whether it's a bit more subtle, it goes through Odegaard. Mm-hmm. He finds space for Saka in particular.
Yep.
He's able to link up really well. So, but there's games where he you know, Arsenal can't get the ball to him, and we're just not as effective. So he's definitely a crucial player for us. Yeah. And what's he? Top 4 for key passes. He's 4th. 6th for passes entering the opponent's penalty area. He's top 10 for expected assists. He hasn't probably got as many as he should.
Yeah, I think he's got 6 goals, 4 assists in 31 games started.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a product of Arsenal just not quite having that number 9 position sorted. You know, Lacazette isn't an out-and-out goal scorer. Nketiah, I think, is, but isn't the complete polished product just yet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, a few other stats I've seen from him is he had 99 shot reactions from live balls, so not Deadpool scenarios.
Play,
yeah, so that's second. Number 1 was surprisingly Bruno, which I thought was... Bruno, he did hit a lot.
He's got a lot of criticism. It's a bit weird with Bruno Fernandes. Last season, everyone was raving about him, and the naysayers were, it's all penalties, you know, it's all set pieces, they're just propping up his numbers.
Yeah.
And then this season, where he is topping a lot of these chance creation categories, even in a struggling United team.
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah.
Just hasn't. He's probably been unlucky and got taken off penalties, which doesn't help, but you know, hasn't quite.
He's taken a few penalties and he's kind of
missing,
bottled it against Martinez and I guess recently as well.
Yeah, the Arsenal one, yeah. But he's had a really good season in a struggling United team, but obviously because of United struggles and because he doesn't have those goal contributions that he did last season, there's been way more criticism. But both years, when United play well, it's generally because Fernandes is pulling the strings in that midfield. And, you know, Rangnick also got into this habit of, he was changing up the system week to week.
Yeah, the 4-2-2-2-2.
You know, Fernandes at different times was either playing like deeper in central midfield, he was playing on the wing sometimes, he was playing as this false 9 sometimes.
Yeah.
Just put him as like that advanced 8 or a 10 and just let him do his thing.
Yeah, I obviously watched a lot of Bruno Fernandes. I obviously liked him last season. I liked him not too bad this season. I don't know if it's the Ronaldo kind of ego coming through or like there's kind of overshadowing. He's not the main guy. I just felt he forces it. That's why he's got all these kind of key passes and shot creations. He forces things through, but sometimes you don't need that. You need control of the game.
Yeah, he definitely seems like someone that can get a little bit rattled. But again, it's probably just a product of the United season.
Yeah.
You know, he probably does feel the burden of trying to be that guy in a struggling team. You know, hopefully, you know, for United next season, they'll be a bit more sorted out, and you know that they just need consistency. And if they get that, if he gets that around him, he will thrive.
Yeah, I agree, because we have seen it when we base our system around Bruno Fernandes. Goals, assists, key passes galore, really.
I think Pogba leaving will help, because when he's fit, there seems this urgency to get him in the team.
Yeah.
And he is a great player, Pogba. Like, just forget all the other nonsense that's said about him. He's a fantastic player, but I just think for United in the Premier League, Pogba's best position for United was as a 10, and Fernandes has just been better.
Yeah.
So that's it. He's got to be the guy moving forward. Pogba's going to go. Yep. So hopefully that should free him up to just play where he needs to play.
The only thing I would say about Fernandes, especially with Ten Hag coming in,
he wants more of an 8, right?
Yeah, he wants an 8, but he sometimes does play with this kind of what he does with Gravenberch this season, where the 8 pushes quite far to the inside left channel. So obviously Bruno can do the inside right channel. It shouldn't be too difficult for him. But it's more about keeping the ball sometimes and not looking for the killer pass. Ten Hag has to really kind of mature him in that essence. Like De Bruyne does that perfectly. He knows when to like go for the killer balls, and then sometimes he'll just pass it around, find the spaces, let other people try and get into those zones.
Yeah. That's probably a question mark for now. But I listen. Good players find a way to get it done. So I wouldn't rule it out for him.
No. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Moving on to right wing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there any other choice than Salah?
No choice.
No. We'll get on to Salah. My other choices were Jared Bowen and Bukayo Saka.
Same picks again.
Yeah.
Bowen second, Saka
to
third.
Be fair, there was quite a few. I don't really know second or third, but there was quite a few options. Like Rafinha was important for Leeds, but I think he was up and down. He had an up and down season, much like they did.
Yeah, hard season for them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think these guys were like, you know, automatic picks. Jared Bowen, double figures for assists and goals. Yep. Joint third for assists. 7th in terms of goal creating actions per 90 minutes. He's been crucial for West Ham.
Definitely him and Rice.
Yeah, and you think about, you know, Antonio started the season well, but after Christmas the goals have dried up for him, and particularly in January, I remember Jared Bowen, without his goals, you know, they were obviously on the outskirts of that top 4 battle. I don't think they would have been anywhere near it without him. He scored some vital goals for them.
It's a shame he got injured, I think, for like 3 or 4 games, I think.
Yeah, and I thought at the back end of the season, I thought he was just starting to get a bit tired, and then he sort of had a second wind and popped up with some more crucial goals for him.
Yep.
I think he did in Europe as well. But yeah, I really like him. He's really good in possession, tight areas, doesn't lose the ball, and he's added that killer touch. These goals and stuff, I didn't think he was that sort of player. Yeah,
you didn't think he had that kind of. He reminds me a bit of a Salah trajectory, where when Salah first came to Liverpool from Chelsea, he was that dribbler. He could go outside or inside, and then he turned into
goal machine.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know if Bowen will go full Salah mode, but he definitely has added goals. He's come into the right positions, at least. Yeah,
I mean, for West Ham, it's not quite goal machine, but it's not far off.
No,
top scorer. And that leads neatly into Saka, to be fair, who I think is a very, very similar player to Bowen. If you watched him, good dribbler in tight areas, always seems to find that little bit of space that he needs to do the next thing.
Yep.
Very mature for his age, Saka. He seems to, you know, carry a lot of weight for Arsenal.
especially
You know,
after what happened at England.
yeah,
And
yeah, and
he took that penalty quite well. Like that
against
showed
Chelsea,
character.
yeah, he's got character in abundance. That kid, he's he's one of Arsenal's most important players. He's top 10 for key passes and shot creating actions per 90 as well. He's played a lot of minutes for Arsenal, like I was saying earlier. Hopefully next season, we're able to give him a bit more of a rest at times, especially in a World Cup year where I think he's going to feature prominently for England because I know Southgate likes him.
Yep.
But yeah, like Bowen, he's added those goals to his game. Last season at Arsenal, Saka, he always played well. He was always one of our best players on the pitch. Always did nice things, could dribble, good passer, always seemed to make the right decision, but didn't seem to have that killer touch in the final third. But he's added that this season, with 11 goals. I think he's our top scorer in the league. Might be joint with Smith Rowe.
Maybe.
But yeah, he's such a good player already. It's scary to think what he might become.
Yeah, I'm very jealous that you guys have got him. He'd be the perfect, for fans especially, for that kind of kid. There's no ego. Just wants to do his best for his team and just quality.
Yeah, I think the best thing you can say about him is he seems like a very difficult player to hate for opposition fans. He seems like a very grounded guy. And he's talented, man. He's so talented.
He's got pace. He's even got quite good strength this season. I think he's quite kind of bulked up, I would say, but he's got a good kind of core strength about him now. Like Salah does.
I think the key thing for him this season has been Arteta's now, he knows what his best position is. That right wing position is his best position. Last season, he was
left wing.
A bit left wing. He's sometimes moved into this sort of central role as well. And again, and when he first came into the Arsenal team, he's playing at left back. And I think that's just a sign of a smart, intelligent footballer. And it probably had a potential to hinder his potential because
utility.
He needs that one position to excel in, and he's doing that now.
Yeah, I'm glad for him. Really am.
Yeah, definitely.
Which so about the player, but
and then the guy we both picked is Salah. 22, 20. Did he get the goal today? Yep. So 23 goals. I think he was level with Son in the end for the Golden Boot.
Yep.
I think it goes down to assists, and Salah just happens to have the most assists this season. So
out of everyone as well. So.
Yeah, he was top for that. Obviously, goals per 90, he was joint first. Mm-hmm. Non-penalty XG and XA first.
Yep.
Assists per 90. People don't seem to acknowledge him as a guy that can get assists, but he's third in the league for that. Top 10 key passes, which again, people just think he dribbles and scores, and that's about it. The crazy thing with Salah is he did sort of have a slightly off second half of the season.
After AFCON,
Yeah, he wasn't quite at his best.
Apart from the Man United game, didn't really do too much.
Funny that.
Yeah. Thanks, Salah.
But, and he was still playing well. He's still important for them. Just he set that bar so high.
Yeah, it's almost like a classic case of why XG is quite important, because he was over expected it in the first half and the under expected it levels out across the season.
It does balance out, and another Golden Boot for him doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've started to see Liverpool sort of bring these new guys into that front three.
Yeah.
For a while, it was obviously Mane, Firmino, and Salah. It was automatic. You got Diaz coming now, who's been amazing. Jota scores goals for fun.
Even with Mane striker now, and he seems to get a new lease of life.
Yeah, Mane can play wherever he wants to.
Yeah.
He's effective. And Salah, what is he, pushing 30 now?
Yeah.
Past 30. So you wonder how long he's got left.
He's incredibly fit, a bit like Ronaldo, though.
Yeah. I think.
4 or 5 years.
Listen, I think he can stay at Liverpool as long as he wants to stay at Liverpool. I don't think he doesn't seem like a player that's got this urge to go to PSG or, definitely not Real Madrid. I don't think Barcelona. I don't see why he would. As long as Klopp's there, they're going to win trophies.
Yeah,
you know.
He's at the best place. You see
Yeah,
what happened with Coutinho and think of other players. Suarez.
yeah,
Suarez actually did have a good stint at Barcelona, to be fair.
yeah. I mean that right hand side for Liverpool might well be one of the best in the world. Alexander-Arnold and Salah. I mean, and they bounce off each other so well because we see Trent comes a lot more central these days, but he can stay wide and get to the byline, and Salah can drift in, and vice versa. They complement each other really, really well.
Yes, it's good to see that kind of. There's always a triangle on each side of the pitch. You got the winger, the central midfielder, and if they're able to move into different spaces, like interchange to spaces, creates a lot of chances, which they do perfectly.
The thing for Salah, I will say, I do think he plays a lot better with Firmino. I think Firmino was always crucial, certainly in his emergence at Liverpool. He's probably established himself now enough, but they always linked up really well. Jota is more of a goal scorer than Firmino was.
Yeah, there's definitely an element of greed, but not in a bad way. But
no,
Firmino would drop in.
I don't mind the striker that greedy.
Yeah,
it is what it is. But it's Salah. He's still one of the best players in the Premier League, if not the best on his day. And had we done this in January, he would have been by far and away the player of the season.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just difficult second half of the season.
Still played well. I think we should.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, of course. If we go across to the other side, the left wing, I think we both obviously went Son. That was automatic, joint top scorer. But my other two, it was difficult for left wing.
Yeah, it was really difficult. I found.
I thought it'd be a lot easier, but the two I've gone for are Mane, and I went with Zaha.
I went with Zaha and Foden.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised you've gone for Zaha as well, because I was a bit like, has he done enough?
I think
sort of. Yeah, go on.
I think from like last season where he was the main man in the Roy Hodgson kind of deep block, get the ball to him, try and make something happen.
Yeah, it was basically defend for our lives and hope Zaha can win us the game.
And now they've got a structure around him where other people can sort of create and stuff. He might not be the focal point anymore, but he's still the man, I think.
I'd say he probably doesn't stand out as much.
Yep.
As he used to, but his numbers. He got 13 goals 14 this season. Did he score today?
Yeah, he scored today.
There you go. And what is it? 64 passes entering the penalty area, which again you don't attribute to him traditionally, but he's added that to his game. Again, that's probably a product of just having that structure around him.
Yep.
Obviously, players dribbled past. He ranks fourth. That's not surprising. That is what you attribute to him.
Yeah. Obviously, he's got 170 fouls drawn, which is first.
Him and Grealish, they are just fouled galore.
I always thought when Grealish stayed and they were linked with, were linked with James Ward-Prowse, what a combination that would be. Grealish get the foul at the edge of the box. James Ward-Prowse.
It's a cheat code, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe if things go a bit south at the World Cup, we'll call that Plan B.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But Mane, his stats are good. 15 goals in the league. It's really the goal scoring that stands out for Mane.
Yep. And
I do think it's impressive the way he's done it across that front line. Like you said, they have moved him around a lot more this season, especially since Diaz has come in on the left-hand side.
Yep, he's gone striker now.
But he's an awesome player for them.
Liverpool legend, I would say, if he stays
for
a few years.
Yeah, I think when people look back on this era of Liverpool, there's so many players. It's like Alisson, Van Dijk, Fabinho, and then I think it's Salah and Mane. You just think of those guys.
Yeah, true. Annoyingly.
Yeah, and listen,
if for Mane,
No, not really. Other than goals, 15 goals this season. I don't think he scored today, did he?
No. Oh yeah, he did score.
Oh no, he scored
No,
the first goal.
did he score?
Did he score the first goal? I think he did.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sure
he
he
also got
scored the
offside
first
as well.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, 16 goals isn't anything to be sniffed at.
Yeah.
If Luis Diaz had played a full season, he probably would have been the pick.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I was thinking him, and also on the other side of the wing, Kulusevski.
Kulusevski, yeah. Kulusevski, I was very close to just doing anyway, because he literally, as soon as he came into the team, he was effective.
Yeah.
Diaz, it did take a few games. He wasn't automatically straight into the side, and he showed flashes, but last couple of months he has been something else for them.
Salah region, basically. If he does,
yeah, he's so direct when he gets the ball. You can just see it, and he is that perfect Klopp player ahead of Guardiola. Guardiola wants those polished players that are gonna, fulfill his tactical, plan to the letter. Whereas Diaz feels like this raw guy where you just give him the ball and he's going to do something. You don't quite know what, but
I agree.
It's terrifying for defenders, that directness, and bit random.
I definitely see that with Liverpool. It's more it's a fluid kind of structure to it. Where Man City, it's about rotating positions slightly, but it's more about positioning. While Liverpool is about exposing the space, which is what Diaz is much better at.
I will say, I spoke a bit about Grealish already. It's probably just the lack of goal contributions that stopped me picking him on the left wing, and he has been a little bit in and out of the team.
Yep.
So certainly in the second half of the season, but he has been very, very good, and that what Guardiola wants from that left winger, where they start really, really wide, and then that sort of area, that sort of final third area on the left hand side between the corner flag and the touchline. Yeah, I don't know if there's a better player in the Premier League than Grealish at just tight space, being able to work the ball into the box, whether that's passing, whether that's dribbling, to move that ball into the box. I think he's the best player in the league in that area. It's a very specific niche area, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think with front threes, you always want different kind of profiles, and one of them is a 1v1 dribbler, right? So Grealish. That's why sometimes they don't play Grealish and Mahrez, because they both do similar things on the other side.
Yeah.
And you want that runner on the other side, probably.
Yeah. Because he is just brilliant in tight areas. And I do think that's maybe why he hasn't been favoured with England at times, where sometimes it's a bit more fast break with the attacking. It's a lot of, passing amongst the back, and then the attacking play is quite immediate and rapid.
It's more about pace in behind.
Yeah, but I can see why City spent 100 million on Jack Grealish. He is a Man City style winger.
Yeah, I agree with you. He follows the suit of Mahrez. I think he definitely will kick on next season.
Yeah. Like sometimes I do just think it's one of those seasons where it just doesn't quite. You just don't get those goals or assists. Sometimes you need that bit of luck.
Yeah.
Next season, I think he will do better in that regard.
Yep.
But obviously the obvious first choice was Son, joint Golden Boot with 23 goals, all from open play.
Yep.
which is definitely the best in the league. Yep. Goals per shot, he ranked second coming into today. Key passes, he was joint fifth. He had 7 assists before today. I don't know if he did get an assist, actually. I'm not sure. He might have got 1 assist.
Maybe.
Might have got a fantasy assist.
Yeah, so maybe he didn't count.
Yeah. But 6.5 over XG.
Yeah, so second highest, I think, to De Bruyne, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
and he's just that kind of finisher. He's just finished left foot, right foot, tight spaces, long range. He's got it
Yeah.
all really. It's a bit. He could probably play in any team he wants.
Yeah, I think he could because he does seem to work in that fast break style that Tottenham love at times. But even in deep blocks, he is really good at finding pockets of space and getting in behind, or his finishing outside the box is amongst the best in the league as well.
Yeah, he's very both-footed. He seems to be every season a bit more both-footed.
Yeah. Like I still don't know whether he favours his right or left.
Yeah,
to be honest, because he seems pretty adept on both.
And obviously him and Kane, what a relationship.
Yeah, and obviously there was all the talk about Kane leaving last summer. While he's playing with Son, especially under Conte, I wouldn't rush. I really wouldn't, because they got a good thing with those two, and like you said, they've added Kulusevski to that. It's a dangerous front three, and it was one of the things that a few weeks ago when it was Arsenal, Tottenham going for the top four. That was the thing that worried me, was their front three. They will score goals.
Yeah.
They don't have to play particularly well. They will score goals. I don't think Arsenal have that same ability, and I think that was what manifested itself.
Yeah,
as well
Arsenal with a younger squad as well. So
yeah. Son and Kane have been around for a long time. I think Son's approaching 30, so we'll see. I don't know whether he's craving a move away.
Doesn't seem like you never hear anything about Son moving, which is crazy because
I definitely don't see him going to another team in the Premier League.
No, he seems quite loyal.
Yeah, and because it would be scary if he decided to go to Liverpool all of a sudden, because he's just one of those Liverpool players that you can do whatever you want.
Don't give Klopp any ideas, Matt.
Yeah, no. But
I guess my other pick was like I find it quite hard after Zaha, after Son, so I picked Foden. And I wasn't like entirely convinced. I know he got Young Player of the Year, I think.
Yeah, and I think that was a generous Young Player of the Year. I think Saka certainly would have.
Or Trent. I think does Trent fall into it still? Oh, it's Trent.
Yeah, it's so hard with someone like Trent that's been around for so long to still consider him a young player. They need to adjust the criteria for that. Like, you've got to be less than 2 or 3 years experience or something. Breakout player of the season.
Exactly. And I don't think it was Foden's really breakout. I know he got 9 goals, 5 assists, with roughly the same XG and XA, so he was on par with his values.
Yeah. I don't really recall him having this spectacular season. He is a very, very good player for his age.
Yeah.
Very good player. I think he's one of those players that his the fact you can move him around that front three and even dropping into a midfield three if you so require, it does work against him at times. Like I was saying about Saka, where you just want to see him just become a world beater at one of these positions.
Where do you think he'll?
I think his best position has got to be the right hand side. You
think so? I don't think he has the raw pace sometimes to go left or right. Sometimes I think he's
too left footed.
Yeah. Saka can go down the line and he'll provide a quality cross.
Yeah, but then saying that, I thought after David Silva left, I thought that position was going to be his. I thought that was the role that Guardiola was sort of preparing him for, and I think in the long term that probably is going to be, because I hear what you're saying about him getting up and down, going both ways on the wing. I think that he has scored 9 goals this season, but Man City, a lot of players have scored 9 goals this season for Man City.
6 goals. So.
Yeah, I don't think he's a clinical finisher. I don't think he's a guy that will get that many goals year in, year out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how development occurs.
Yeah,
because obviously now he's doing this role where he's kind of shifting every position, but he's sort of still doing reasonably well in that role. Like, even the stats I got from the best one was probably, it's called 11 big chances created, which is 3rd in the league. I
Yeah,
think joint third. And then the other ones I've got is 36 attacking touches per 90, which is 10th in the league. And then
yeah,
229 attacking pressures, which is 9th. So he does work hard as well. So he's got talent and he does work hard.
yeah, yeah. I think 'cause I keep thinking that he's gonna emerge at a different position. It's every couple of months I change my mind. Like
Yeah.
right wing, I thought for a while. Then I thought he's being groomed in this messy sort of false nine role, but that's not going to happen with Haaland coming in now. Central midfield, I think he can play it. I think he's that attacking 8 that Guardiola loves.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of that. He seems a very similar player to Bernardo Silva as well, who started out as a right winger. Yeah, yeah. And because I don't know, Bernardo Silva wanted to leave last summer, and then just had an unbelievable season. So I don't know whether he still wants to leave or what. But
I think Gundogan and Fernandinho are leaving.
Fernandinho, yes. Gundogan wants to leave. He hasn't played enough.
Yeah.
To stay.
And every time he does play really well. Like today, 2 goals.
Yeah, I one thing that did stick out to me with Gundogan was I think the points per match when he's on the pitch. I think he's up there as best in the league.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I might have got that wrong, but he's definitely right up there.
Mm-hmm.
But he just doesn't play enough. He's not in that first 11.
Yeah, it's strange because it seems like whenever Guardiola's playing a final or something like that, you expect Gundogan because he does kind of come up in these big moments. And he seems to avoid playing him, which is
well, I think it was notable today that at 2-0 down, they bring on Gundogan instead of Grealish, and Gundogan ends up scoring 2 goals. So, I think Gundogan's a better player than to be sitting on the bench for half the season. He's a much better player than that.
You could say it was about that most of the bench.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Mahrez is 31.
Yeah,
that surprised me. I think it still feels like he's like mid-20s or something.
I feel like because you don't see him a lot, he comes in and out of the team.
And then I just assume when he broke through at Leicester he was young, but I think he was mid-20s then.
So I guess the last position is striker.
Yeah, difficult one. This I don't think there's a clear candidate here.
No.
I went with Ronaldo. My other 2 were Kane, obviously, and I went. And even now, I'm sort of a little unsure whether this was the right one, but I went with Jamie Vardy.
Ah, okay.
And I'll get onto Vardy in a bit. What was your 3?
So mine, I was debating between 2 people for number 1 position for a while. It was between Kane and Tony.
Yeah.
And then Ronaldo was 3rd. Because I obviously Ronaldo scored a lot of goals, but I think the Man United team has been so poor. I cannot push him up that list.
Yeah. My big thing with Ronaldo was, that United team wasn't so great.
Yeah.
Certainly in the back end of the season. I just wonder where they would have been without his goals. And I do think there's an argument to be made that United might be a better team overall if he's not in the team, just in terms of the chemistry and you know what that can open up for other players potentially.
Yeah,
you know, it's a very subjective argument that, but it's in terms that if we're going to judge a striker on raw goals, Ronaldo's come in and done what we pretty much expected him to do.
Yep, 18 goals, 3 assists in 27 games as well. He hasn't played.
No, he's and I think it is notable that in particularly big games, there's been a few big games where Solskjaer, I think, did as well in one. Oh no, it might come just after. I think it come in the interim.
Yeah, it was Carrick, yeah.
Carrick, yeah, against Chelsea.
Yeah.
And Rangnick done it a few times in the back end of the season. So, yeah, he's not a slam dunk pick up front. And you obviously went with Kane. I can definitely see that. He did underperform his XG, Kane.
Yeah, same with Tony.
Yeah, Tony did a lot. But Kane, he had that really bad start to the season, and I think it would have been too much of a recency bias to
Put him as number one.
Put him as number, because since February he has been the best striker in the Premier League by a distance.
Yeah,
but Ronaldo, was relatively consistent over the year. Really,
Ronaldo kind of spurred to he'll have a few games where he'll score quite a lot of goals, bit of a dry spell, but obviously because Man United were obviously playing very poor. You can't really attribute to Ronaldo, because if he didn't get any chances, it's a bit of a graveyard shift.
Yeah, actually, those 2 hat-tricks really stand out to me in the second half of the season. And at that time, you were still in a top 4 battle. You were still had hopes of getting in that. And, you might not even be in Europe next season if it wasn't for his goals in the state that team was in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I could agree with that, yep. I was also debating about Tony, because obviously Brentford aren't a top team. They just come promoted. They've done really well. I think, where did they end up now?
13th, I think. 13th, 14th. They got more points than the other 2 promoted teams, Norwich and Watford combined.
Oh, wow.
Which is an impressive achievement.
Yeah, and I think when you look at on the stats, the expected points were meant to be a lot larger. I think at one point they were 6 expected points.
Yeah.
Which is insane. And I think obviously first half of the season Tony was meant to be the guy with loads of goals. Obviously Championship he was the top scorer ever until this season.
He scored a bucket load of goals in the Championship, and I think he has slightly performed in that regard in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But he has been a really important player for them, and he's got a few assists, but there's a lot of games where he's just been the best player on the pitch for Brentford.
Yeah.
And has been the reason they won, even if it doesn't necessarily show up in
goals.
Yeah, in the stat categories, or the big ones anyway.
So I got a few of the stats with him. He got 10 big chances created, which is quite good. You wouldn't expect that from him. That's 4th overall. 144 aerials won, which is 4th overall as well. He's a bit of a beast with his leap.
Yeah.
And then 81 fouls drawn, which is 4th overall as well. So he's got a hold-up presence. It's very difficult to get off the ball, and he links up with Mbeumo really well.
Him and Mbeumo are so good together. I love watching. And Mbeumo is another one. He really underperformed his expected goals. But they are a brilliant partnership up front for Brentford. I do like watching them. I think Tony, he's a proper all-round striker. He's big, he's strong.
Yeah.
He can get in behind. And I think, given the chances, he will get you goals. I do think now, I know he's underperformed somewhat in that regard, but a lot of his goals have been penalties and stuff. But I do think he's a goal scorer, and I think if Brentford can continue the way they've ended this season into next, I think he will get more goals.
Do you think he'll be snatched up? I think he'd be a good striker for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think he would. I don't know if we'd splash the kind of money that we'd take to get him. If we're going to get, we could probably get a striker of his quality from elsewhere for cheaper. So I don't know. I would like him though. He's a real presence.
I think he will move. I think that's the Brentford Moneyball kind of.
Yeah, they cash in. Yeah. My alternate was Vardy, and it is a tough one because he spent a lot of the season injured.
Yeah.
But I decided that because he's played at least half of their minutes this season, that he does qualify.
Okay.
And they are, he scored today, I believe.
Yep, or assisted, I think.
He definitely got at least one goal. So he scored 15 goals in the league this season, despite missing half of it. 0.73 goals per 90. That was joint first with Salah.
Wow.
0.29 goals per shot. That was first. 5.4 over XG. He's 35 and he's still the man for Leicester. Yeah. If he's in the team, they're just a much better team. They score more goals. Simple as that. He scored close to a quarter of their goals despite missing half the season,
Yeah. I 100% agree. I think they try to replace him with Lookman and Daka.
They seem to have this little committee of strikers. Iheanacho as well as that, who I do rate. he doesn't seem to be overly consistent, but he has produced for them. But yeah, they can't seem to get Vardy's production, and it is easier said than done.
No.
Because, when they won that title, they had this very particular way of playing, and it really suited him. Just fast break, counter-attacking football. And he just seemed to have this, 1 in a million sort of season. And you thought, well, that's never going to happen again. But he's really sort of transformed himself into this real all-round striker for Leicester. He gets more involved in their build-up play now. He doesn't make as many runs in behind, but he makes smarter runs. He makes smarter runs in behind. He's really, really polished his movement as a striker, and that's why he continues to score goals. And it's a shame that he's getting so many injuries now. I think that's just a product of his age.
Vardy party too.
Yeah, Vardy. But yeah, what is he? Apparently, he drinks a Red Bull before every game or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is, but he's not a peak athlete, shall we say? But he might have 1 or 2 more years left. I don't think he has any need at this point to leave the club. I don't think he would want to.
Yeah.
And I think as long as he's still, even if his goals sort of drop off, I still think he's a guy that will stay and just, back up or whatever. As long as he wants to be there, he'll be there. He is a really likable striker. I'd be really like watching him.
Yeah, shame we didn't get more England caps. I know obviously we had Kane. So
yeah. If it had been if he had just emerged 2 years before he did, he would have got a lot of England caps, because it was a position where he sort of struggled to find a guy for a while, and then just boom, Harry Kane. So yeah, and to be fair to him, he officially retired from international football, but I think for the Euros he did it, and maybe for the World Cup before, I can't remember. Oh no, he was at the World Cup before. He retired after it. But he did say, look, if there are injuries,
he'll come out.
He'll come out of retirement for that. So I like that about him as well.
Yeah, it's going to be sad to see him as the years go by, because he's iconic, obviously coming from grassroots football.
Yeah, he's a feel-good story, and he's got a bucket load of goals in this short little spell at the top that he's had. He is, well over 100 now, right?
Yeah, I believe so. We should probably check where he is in the rankings. It'd be good to see.
Yeah. Have a quick look at that, because, this season he probably would have been Golden Boot winner if he'd stayed fit.
Yeah.
But that's part of it now. You have to be fit. You have to stay fit.
Which is what's so good about considered. Salah and stuff like that.
Better yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I think we've done all our picks.
Manager of the season. So this one I haven't got so many stats for.
Yeah.
This one I've just tried to go off the sort of top of my head. The 2 alternates I went for. I've gone for 3 mid-table managers.
Okay.
Because I think it's hard to really judge the top managers. I don't think we can do it properly. We expect so much from these teams. Obviously Liverpool have been amazing.
Yeah.
City continue to push, the line of excellence, But for me, I've gone, Thomas Frank at Brentford has been very, very good. Like I said, more points than the other 2 promoted teams combined. They're both back in the Championship, and Brentford aren't.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot about him. I've gone Patrick Vieira, Arsenal legend. But yeah, the way he's transformed that Palace side so quickly.
Yeah, because his team at Nice, he didn't do very well from what I saw. But he's done amazingly here.
And even if you look at it on paper, you wouldn't think, oh, he's done amazing at
Palace.
At Palace, but when it's the style of football from the side they were under, who was there before? Hodgson.
Yep.
To what they play now, they're just a much better team.
Yeah, it's night and
They
day.
play a progressive style of football. To implement that so quickly, young team as well. So you get this feeling that there's so much more to come from them.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, number one, Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe, very good pick.
Yeah, I obviously not full season, but Newcastle were like bottom of the table when he took over.
Yep.
And they were a dreadful team to watch, like genuinely really bad in all areas, really. But I think their top 3 points in the second half of the season. I think only Liverpool and maybe City have got more points than them since January or something.
I think I remember a few weeks ago they're like second, so I wouldn't be too surprised they were like third from 2022.
And obviously, the signings have a lot to do with that. Guimaraes has been very good. Matt Target, Dan Burn, they've been really good signings.
Shame about Trippier.
Yeah, because he was very good for them. He was the best of the lot.
Yeah.
In the few games he appeared in, and I say they could have flown even further up the table. I don't know how much further they could have gone. They finished 11th in the end, almost finished in the top half from
19th.
They lost. They didn't win any of their first, I think, 13 or 14 games in the league this season.
Yeah.
To produce in Champions League form in the back end of the season, even with new signings coming in, that's drastic. That's not easy to do.
And I especially think what he's done with Joe Linton.
Yeah.
Turning him into a midfielder and a dominating midfielder. Like, probably one of them. If we had a full season with Joe Linton, I expect him to come into that.
It's amazing for him to just go into that role and just immediately look at home. And he really works. He's a bit clumsy, but there's far more experienced central midfielders who are even more clumsy than him. So
works well.
Yeah.
Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes, they get proper number 6 behind them, a bit more protection.
Yeah, I always think Shelby's a little underrated. He has this sort of erratic nature about him.
Bit of a Xhaka.
Yeah, he can lose his head at times, and sometimes he can try to do too much. But sometimes that sort of ambitious nature of his play really comes off, and he's a proper player when he's in form.
Mm-hmm. Be interesting what Newcastle do next season in terms of signings and where they're going to fill the gaps in, because I expect them to go into like probably 8th, 6th to 8th. They'll probably be competing. I think.
I think they've quietly sort of made a name for themselves in the second half of the season, and next season there's going to be a target on their back.
Yeah,
teams are going to expect it. They're going to know they've got quality about them. They're going to try to key in on guys like Guimaraes who can control the game for them, and it will be harder for them, but we'll see who they get in the summer. They might miss out on Mbappe though.
He'll miss really. I think for manager of the season, my 3 picks, I didn't choose Eddie Howe, even though it was a great pick. I think because he wasn't a full season, so I thought pushed him aside. But for me, it was Thomas Frank, then Klopp, and then Vieira.
Yeah,
those are my 3. I don't really have the stats, but just what Brentford have done coming to first season, even though they've underperformed. Imagine if they perform to the level, it'd be
but that's always the first thing you got to look at. You look at the underlying performance stats, and obviously we spoke about the strikers. Maybe if they had scored more to their XG, or if they had Eriksen for a full season, they would have been a top half team, I reckon.
And they're hard to play against as well because they're so direct.
And they really have a real assured system of play. They know what they're doing, and they can go into games, whether it's a top half of the table team or a bottom half of the table team, and they can play their style of football, which is very hard for mid-table teams to do that week in, week out. You know, you often have to sort of, you know, a big team, you think, oh, we'll just stick 10 men behind the ball and we'll try and nick a goal or something. But no, they don't. They're there to play football week in, week out.
They remind me of Swansea. Obviously not the style of play, but in terms of when Swansea came up, they had their style of play. They weren't moving away from it. That's what Brendan Rodgers wanted, or was it Martinez?
Under both. Under Rodgers, they played great football. He got snapped up by Liverpool. They bought him, was it Brian Laudrup? Or was it Michael Laudrup? I can't remember which Laudrup it was, but yeah, then they didn't skip a beat. They were still really good, and then, you know, eventually, you know, your top players start to get snapped up and stuff like that.
Yeah, what can you do?
But yeah, they do remind me of Swansea. I do like that comparison, actually, where they have their style of football. And listen, the signings they make, the way they use the transfer market, it is difficult if you're losing top players year in, year out.
Yeah.
Sides like, you know, Southampton have found that, where, you know, you can compete with, or on the outskirts of the big boys for a few years, but if you keep losing those top players year after year, it's so hard.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I mean, they're still there, but they just struggled a bit more.
See where they could have been if they probably held on maybe to one or two players. Which is hard said and done too.
Yeah, I mean, if a big club comes in for, like, you know, Tony or something, he's going to go. Yeah. Like, that's just how it is. But, you know, that's how their Moneyball approach works. That's what they got to do. Yeah.
So I'm very excited. I'm very glad they've done well. Very excited. I'm very excited for, like, all the teams that have stayed up. I think they all represent different kind of ideas, different kind of play styles.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad that Leeds managed to stay up on the last day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got our total picks for the season. Most of them were the same. So we agreed on Alexander-Arnold.
Yep.
Cancelo.
Yep.
De Bruyne. Salah and Son.
Yep.
So now we just need a few. Well, we need to agree on the other ones.
So let's start with goalkeeper. I chose Sarr, Alisson. It was a very hard.
Yeah. Let's cede to the smaller team.
Too many Liverpool players.
Yeah, and I think I used the argument against Rodri that Man City would probably still be a good team without him. I think Liverpool would still probably be a good team without Alisson. I don't think they'd be close to winning the title without him, but they'd still be up there. Whereas Wolves would have struggled without Sarr this season, no doubt about it.
They would be in danger.
So yeah, I'm happy with Sarr. Centre backs, I've gone Rudiger and Laporte.
I went with Matip and Van Dijk.
Well, we both agreed on Laporte for our shortlist, right?
Yeah.
And we both agreed on Matip for our shortlist, so I think we should go with those two.
Yep. 100% agree with that.
I think that's a lovely partnership as well. Right foot, left foot.
Yeah, very true. One's a passer, one's a progressor carrier.
Yeah, ball progressors. Lovely stuff. DM.
We can go with Rice in this one.
Yeah.
Use the same argument with Sarr. He's at every West Ham. Where would they be without him?
Definitely. Odegaard versus Mount.
It's a hard one.
It is hard because with the Arsenal one, the end of the season sort of sticks in the memory. And maybe if it had been a couple of months ago, maybe you would have been more inclined to put Odegaard in. And Mount never really seems to stand out for Chelsea. Yep. He just seems to be a guy that plays well every week.
It's a hard one. If you look at the stats, I think obviously goals and assists Matt has, but in terms of other stats you expect from a midfielder, like chances created, progressive passes, progressive queries.
Yeah.
Odegaard's got that little bit edge on him.
Yeah, and I think Mount takes more of the set pieces.
Yeah.
So if we have to argue against him, we'll argue that. So yeah, I'm happy with Odegaard.
Cool.
And then an underrated thing about Odegaard is the fact that he's taken the armband for these past
Oh yeah, very true.
couple of months for Arsenal. Young player, first full season at the club, to get the armband, that tells you a lot about the character.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't even dropped down. Sometimes when people get the captain's armband, it's a
Yeah.
bit worry.
And then striker, Ronaldo, Kane. I'm happy with Kane. He's been so good for Spurs. Like this is the Harry Kane that we know.
Yeah,
This is the Harry Kane that we've seen for the past 2 or 3 years. He can literally do everything for them.
perfect striker.
Scores goals in spades, but you always associate those proper goal scorers that, or assume that they're just a bit greedy. That they don't always work for the team necessarily. It's about the finishing, but he's definitely not that.
Like Van Nistelrooy, like if he didn't score,
Yeah,
happy.
I actually think sometimes he works a little too hard for Spurs. You see him picking the ball up at right back.
Yeah.
The other week, and it's just like, that's great, Harry, but we'd like you in the opposition's box, please, because you're a pretty good finisher.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. He'll get Shearer's record. I hope he stays in the Premier League because he's been a special player for the past few years, even if he is Spurs.
Yeah, it's nice to come from a youth academy. I hope he actually stays at Spurs. I don't think he can go anywhere now. I think Man City.
Yeah, I think it's sort of been taken out of his hands, and then United always get thrown around in these conversations, but for United's sake, I hope that's not going to be a transfer policy this summer.
I don't think so.
I don't think you can afford to do that. Well, you can financially, but in terms of the sanity of the fan base, I don't think you can afford to do it.
Yeah, we need to develop the kind of Liverpool method where you see these players are progressing in other countries. They're about to hit a breakthrough. They want to prove themselves more.
I think it helps. I think Ten Hag's a great appointment in terms of, listen, this is my philosophy.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of player that I want in this position. I need this position, this player in this position. And you can really narrow in on target, because supposedly with the Wan-Bissaka sign, I don't want to go in on the guy or anything.
Yeah.
It just hasn't worked out at United. But supposedly they analysed over like 400 right backs or something stupid.
Yeah.
Or over, maybe it was 100. Maybe I'm being a bit crazy there. And they zoned in on him as the number one target.
It does seem strange.
Yeah, I struggled to see how you peg him as like the best available right back in the world.
Yeah. The only thing I would say with our transfer policy back then, I think with Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, it was all geared to his counter-attacking low block. But if you're a top team, can you do that? I don't think you can.
No, you might have to aim higher than being a low block counter-attack team.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got an agreed 11.
No fighting.
No fighting this time. What did you say your player of the season overall?
Yeah, I agree with you with Trent.
Trent, yeah.
Most consistent.
Yeah.
I know Salah had a really good first half, but Trent has been consistently.
Yeah, and I think what he's doing from the position he's doing it in, to do what he's put up those kind of numbers from right back, that is a special player.
Yeah, Southgate.
Yeah, Southgate, take note. All right, great stuff.
Nice one. But yeah, thanks for everyone for listening. Hopefully another one coming soon.